Welcome to bosspodcast.com. I am your co-host, Fredrick Douglas Bussey, here with my co-host, Richard Pierce. Popular opinion, the recent polls have shown that we are polling in the top 10% of the most handsome podcast hosts. There's a reason for that. We won't go into all the specifics. Just know that we are firmly comfortable with the unfair advantage that we're creating. For those of you who are not here just for our good looks, you're here for the business of the business of the Boss Podcast. Then you're in for a treat. We've got an amazing topic here today, and just to kind of let you know that you're in the right place, I'm going to throw it to my co-host Richard Pierce, and he can tell you a little bit about who this is for. Richard, how are you today?
Doing incredible, and like you said, I think some of the polls said we were the best looking guys doing a business podcast. I mean, I don't want to spread any rumors or anything like that, but that does give us a very unfair advantage. So just be forewarned on that. So doing well, and exciting about the topic. Wanted to go over too. I know we've had some people. I've had some clients listen to this, and they wanted me to go more in depth about who this podcast is for and who it is not for. So, first criteria, your family must be number one priority. Number one by far.
Yeah.
Second, right? So second is you have to be a business owner. This is not for employees. If you're an employee and you're thinking about owning a business, it may be for you, but it may be some unrelatable items. But listen, kind of be the judge of it. The biggest value is going to be added to people that own their own business that want to multiply their profits while working less hours so they can eventually have the option to sell their business and create generational wealth. So if you notice, I said something very specific: multiply your profits. There are other people that want to just increase them a little bit, or they're happy passing up inflation or something of that nature. Yet if you think about people that were legendary, let's say in the music business, let's use, for example, Chuck Berry, Jimi Hendrix, Elvis Presley. I mean, these were absolute game changers in the music industry, and that's what we're looking for. If you own a business, you want to have a game changer for your business, just like those legends were in the music industry. That's what we will be for your business. So it's not for everybody. So it's not for everybody. So that, again, just some insight there. We're doing this multiple times a week. It's on YouTube, Facebook. Are we on Instagram, Fredrick? I'm trying
to. Not yet, but we will be.
We will be on Facebook, and we'll be streaming this. It'll be the 1st of May. We'll be streaming this live on bosspodcast.com also. So a lot of great things going on. It's April 17th, 2024. So we're going to, again, address the chaos that happens in business. What are some of those chaotic things that you've seen in business, Fredrick, with clients that we've worked with?
Oh man, I mean, there's some of everything, right? So you've got clients who you've been hired to do one thing, right? And you've got a scope of work, and it turns out that they want something completely different. They're coming to you constantly asking you for revisions for, if you're in construction, maybe they're doing change orders all the time. Chaos can include market conditions, inflation, supply chain issues, whether you've got distributors that are going out of business, maybe vendors that are going bankrupt and can't fulfill your orders. If you're running a restaurant and you've got people who can't supply your fresh fruit and vegetables, your ingredients that you need to make your meals, maybe even your prime, the dish you're known for, right? So these are all examples that I've seen and we see every day of chaotic conditions that occur in and around your business. And I think it's really important that we're going to dive into that. I want to make a note that for those who are watching us live, wherever you are, drop a comment, let us know what you're watching, what platform you're watching from. And if you have any questions or you've got chaos in your business, drop a comment, drop a question below. We love to be able to address that in real time and be able to support you as well. We can make sure it's as relevant to you as possible, because we want this podcast to be super, super relevant. We think that's why it's the best business podcast in the world, because we're dealing with real world conditions, not just theory, not just things that are in the news that people are speculating about. But this is about what's happening actually for our clients and our businesses. We've seen it happen. Richard's been doing this a little bit longer than me, and he's had over 900 businesses that he's worked with. And so everything that we're pulling from is real world examples, tried and true, proven formulas, as sure as 2 and 2 is 4, as sure as you can spell your own name. These things work, and that's why we're talking about them, because we want to get this out to people and help them understand it's possible to multiply your profits, to work less time every week, to be able to spend more time with your family, and to be able to build generational wealth through your business. So Richard, the topic we have today, optimizing chaos, that's some of the things that I've shared, but what makes this such a important topic for business owners in today's environment?
Sure. It makes it a great topic due to there's a large number of businesses that hit a plateau. And there are even some, unfortunately, that go out of business, or the owner continues to go into debt with the business. So to avoid those plateaus, to avoid, the unthinkable of even going out of business, that's why we want to optimize the chaos. And then there's some things too. A few other ones of the chaos could be, employees. Finding top quality engaged employees is the biggest challenge in business. Could be cash flow. So we want to address all of these multiple items with a proven framework, and a framework in the advising world is a recipe. So if you think so if you think about it like a recipe for your favorite meal, be it your mom makes it, your aunt, your wife, husband, you make it yourself, whatever that favorite meal is. Maybe you go to a restaurant and they make a favorite meal for you. They have a recipe which makes the outcomes predictable. You can replicate it, right? You can replicate those outcomes. And that's what we want to share with you in bite-sized, very digestible pieces, all the ingredients of these recipes, so that you can today, keyword, take action today, and go out and get some better results. So let me screen share here. So let's go over, Fredrick, if you would talk about what the outcomes are when people have less chaos while I pull up. And this is the way we're going to stall. This is real time. There's no editing on these podcasts. So side note, if you're going to do a podcast, reach out to us. We'll tell you how to jump in and make it successful. So if you would, Fredrick, while I pull up the screen share for the framework to share, go over what some results are of optimizing chaos. That'd be perfect.
Well, I think the number one is that you're able to build more wealth in your business. You hit on something that is really a hidden key to being able to grow your business, and that is to make it more predictable. And so a lot of times people think making it predictable means that they have to work in easy conditions. So when things are easier, right? For instance, you'll hear a lot of people talk about, make $100,000 a month. When in reality, they may have made $100,000 one month, and the next few months they made 30, 50, 70, whatever the case may be. The ups and downs of cash flow and revenue and things of that nature are a part of business that people don't often talk about, but they like to pretend as if it's every single month. But there are ways that you can make things more predictable in spite of the chaos. So you end up with more peace of mind. You sleep better. You're not as your relationships don't suffer whether it's in your marriage or with your children or whatever the case may be, because you have less stress about the business that you're carrying over with you at home. You're able to create a more powerful, effective culture in your business, right? So you don't have all the turnover, and you're always constantly having to chase for new employees and trying to get the most out of your employees. That's a lot of the internal chaos that you're having, that people are dealing with, and sometimes just accept as they're having to be the case. But learning how to optimize all those things is a great way to be able to give yourself more peace of mind, to give yourself more stability, and to be able to exponentially grow your business. So when we talk about multiplying, it's not just 1.5 or 1.8 in revenue. It's, 5, 10, 18x your revenue. So I see you've got your screen shared up here on the screen. Why don't we dive into it a little bit more deeply so we can help to understand not just what the outcomes are, but how we actually get from chaos to more control and more stability.
Absolutely. So the ones that are watching the video, we have the screen share up. If you're not watching the video live and you're just listening to the audio, if you go to gatewaybusiness.com, it will have this framework on here. And it's the framework labeled Business Mental Toughness, and it's winning the battle of me versus me. So there's multiple components here. I'm going to go into the one of the items that happens with business owners is they use a term called I'm burnt out. I'm burnt out of my business. And that is contrary to popular belief. That is not because you're working too many hours. That's not what it's caused by. It's caused by you're not getting the results that you want to get. That's what it's caused by, right? So you think about it, like car engines, modern car engines go now hundreds of thousands of miles because of technology, as long as they're maintained properly. And this is what this does with this optimizing chaos components in this framework covers, is how do you maintain your business and yourself properly so that you never get burnt out, you never hit plateaus, and like Fredrick said, you get more engaged employees. Even your customers are more engaged. So the number one we want to go over is, with no pun intended, your number one client. I often ask people, I'm laughing because of some of the answers I get. I'll ask business owners, and first thing I'll ask them is, who's your number one client? And I'll even tell them it's like a trick question. I'll say, well, you may think it's your biggest customer. They'll think, well, it's XYZ company. No, I say try it. I say try again, and they're like, oh, and then they start to get it. So your number one client is the first person, right? Is the first person you see in the mirror every morning. It's you. It's you.
Right.
So you have to do multiple items here, and I'm going to go through some of these in depth of taking care of number one client. So the first thing is, the average person has 70,000 conversations a day with themselves. 70,000. And this is everything from, do I take a drink of water? Do I call, right? Do I have a difficult conversation with an employee? I've got a customer that owes me money and they're behind on AR. My AR is aging. All of these conversations. Do I do a podcast, right? Do I, all of these items that go through your head, and a lot of them are repeating. The majority of them are very limiting beliefs that slow us down from taking actions to reach our greatest aspirations. And right. So with those 70,000 conversations, first of all, you got to be aware of them. That's the key. You have to be aware of them. And even if they're limiting, then you have to catch it and control it. I'll give you a perfect example. We've talked about it. Fredrick and I have talked about it a couple times today already. We talked about for years doing a podcast. Well, you have to edit it. You have to do this. You have to have something perfect. You have to have a sound studio. All of these limiting beliefs. And then one day we were just talking and we just said, look, we're going to do a podcast. It's not perfect. It's going to be successful, right? It's not perfect. There are mistakes in the podcast, but it has credibility to it. We're going to take action steps to overcome those limiting beliefs in our own heads and move forward with it. So that's one example. One example. And so again, just be aware of what those limiting beliefs are. They could be biases from you've developed them years ago. Maybe it's your relationship with money. Maybe it's thinking that in my industry or my area, good help is hard to find. That's a limiting belief in your head. Fredrick and I both, right? We could both tell them that. So again, that could be a whole separate podcast, but catch those conversations. If you're saying them and not taking action to reach your aspirations, you've got to reach out to us. We'll walk you through how to overcome those conversations. That's one of the big things, right, Fredrick? That's one of the big things we do with clients when we're working with them on their reaching their aspirations. So back to client number one. Let's break this down. So a lot of business owners, they work so many hours, or they work their business, they're juggling their family, and they don't take care of themselves physically. And when I mean physically, how is your hydration? How is your nutrition? When's the last When's the last time that you even had blood work done? I ask this to clients, especially new clients. I ask them, when's the last time we had blood work done? You'll be surprised. I get some answers that are way too long since they've had blood work done. Just the basics, right? Your nutrition as well. I'm not sure if I said nutrition already, but again, we're unedited here. We just keep going. So, which is one of the keys to business. What are, even the proper amount of physical activity. Right. Even things like walking after you have a meal, walking for 10 minutes. It improves gut health. It improves digestion. It gains your mental clarity. Are you getting a good night's sleep? Just the quality of sleep alone is a very underrated benefit for being healthier. So again, this could be a separate podcast. Just look at this as, how do you improve all of these items? How do you get better sleep? How do you take care of yourself better? Some people need to lose weight, get in better shape. Just focus on those things. Those are absolute game changers. And some people may say, well, Fredrick or Richard, that's not direct to my business.
Right.
Believe me, there is a huge correlation. The better you take care of yourself, your mind's clarity goes up. You can make better decisions. And I know from personal experience, and I've had many clients, once they start getting healthier, just losing weight, eating better, hydration, their customers see it, their employees see it. And and when their employees and their customers see it, guess what happens? You get a more engaged employee. Your customers, you notice that you're doing something that you can't buy. You are right. So there's multiple benefits that at first benefit you, but then they have a ripple effect into the business with more engaged employees, your customers, your vendors. Everybody will notice. Guarantee it. Guarantee.
Absolutely.
Which one should we do next, Fredrick? Which one? I'll let you pick the next one of the next ones that we do in optimizing chaos, and I'll let you go into some detail on it.
Well, I think let's talk about the rule of 70, 1% improvement.
Yes. Go ahead.
No, because I think it's a natural extension. Of that.
Sure. So the rule of 70. So if you take something and you improve it 1%, just 1% improvement, and you compound that 70 times, it's 100% improved.
Right.
So I'll give you an example. So let's say you take let's use a dollar amount, $1,000. So if you take $1,000 and you improve it 1%, it's $10. Right? And then you
Mhm.
start the compounding. So 1,000. So that's day one. Day two would be $1,010 times 1% of that. So you've got 1,000. So you have $10 and what, 10 cents or something. So then you just keep compounding that out. Day 70, you have over $2,000. Over
Right.
$2,000. So that's an example. And with your business, let's just think about this. If you took something like customer experience, which is huge, and you
Mhm.
made the customer experience better 1%. What do you do 1% better? Let's say if you're have a retail business or a restaurant, and you take orders over the phone,
Mhm.
and with a restaurant as an example, and you take orders, what could you do to make that order taking 1% better customer experience? You could
Right.
say their order back to them, right?
Mhm.
You'd be
Mhm.
surprised how many restaurants don't say the order back to them when they right? So again, these are things that compound. They may not be a game changer immediately, yet if you do these consistently, they will have your business make quantum leaps, which is the game changer in businesses. So
Well,
go ahead.
well, I was going to say, and to that point, right? So we're talking about optimizing chaos, and a lot of times, what people do in their businesses is that they look at chaos as this uncontrollable thing, and so they have this sense of powerlessness. And what we do as human beings is that we tend to try and exert control where we can, which may turn into us trying to control our employees more, which turns out to lashing out in this other area or doing something else to feel like we're in more control. And actually, um, we always talk about celebrating chaos, right? And so if you look at it, the opportunity to celebrate chaos and to embrace it is an opportunity for something to be improved or to be optimized. And if that's the case, and we know that if we can improve it by 1%, then we're going to take that chaotic event, that chaotic situation in our business, whether it's employee productivity, whether it's, like you said, a customer service experience. And to give an example, right? So let's say that you got customer complaints, right? And people are complaining about they keep returning a certain item to your store, right? And so what you get to look at is this is an opportunity to be able to optimize this chaos. People keep coming back, which means every time they come into stores, an opportunity to be able to sell them something else or to be able to improve that experience so that every time they come now, it's not to return something, it's to come back and buy something else, right? So it's how are we looking at that? What are we looking at to be able to optimize about the experience? It could be simply asking the question. When somebody comes back, what could make this better? What would you prefer, right? Would you rather have a refund or would you rather have the thing that you bought just simply work, right? So whatever that case is, as we continue to improve it, what's the saying that whatever you focus on magnifies. So if we focus on improvement, then we'll magnify the improvement. The improvement magnifies just because we're focusing on it and simply dialing in and having that level of 1% improvement, knowing that's all we need to be able to do consistently to be able to create an exponential outcome on the back end.
That is so true. Like you said, you focus on, let's say your return rate is 10%, whatever that may be,
Mm-hmm.
of items. And then if you focus on that number, again, tying a number to it, and how do I reduce that from 10% to 9%?
Mm-hmm.
Right? And then, maybe asking the customer, are you sure you want size large? Is size large? These run a little small, so maybe you get an extra large or something of that nature.
Right.
So
Right.
it's true. Tying numbers to it, focus on it. That's definitely when you're going to get some better outcomes there with your business and the customer experience, which is key.
Yeah, absolutely. When you think about it, you look at the wealthiest people in the world. You asked me earlier, what are some of the outcomes of optimizing chaos? Well, the primary outcome that most business owners will, I believe, would love to have You can correct me if I'm wrong, but would be to be able to get wealthy, right? I know that not everybody believes they're in business for the money, but the clients that we work with want to get wealthy. They want to be able to have a strong financial outcome for themselves that can create generational wealth, to be able to create a substantial lifestyle for themselves, right? I mean, why would you want to work hard and not get the reward from it? And when you look at optimizing chaos, when you look at the wealthiest people in the world, they've been able to take situations and optimize chaos on multiple levels, right? So the more chaos you can handle, the more chaos you can optimize. And the more chaos you can optimize, the more wealth you can build. Like we always say, right? You get paid in direct proportion to the complexity of the problems that you solve. Another word for complexity would be chaos, right? So when we're talking here, and you talked about the numbers, removing the emotion, I think if you want to talk about a little bit about mental variance and then how that relates to KPIs and things of that nature, maybe that help people give a little bit better understanding of what we're talking about here, because chaos can be such a broad term that people allow anything to be chaos. But if that's the case, then we've got to be able to optimize it and manage it in a very powerful way, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, and just to share, it's optimize chaos. It's not minimize, and it's definitely not maximize it. Right? It's not minimize. So
Mm-hmm.
let's think about a military fighting jet. Is there a lot of chaos there when you're going 1,800 miles an hour? Right. Let's
Absolutely.
let's look at a Formula One race car. Is there a lot of chaos there? Right.
Absolutely.
Right. A lot of chaos. You know, a top fuel race car, 12,000 horsepower. They're optimizing that chaos. You take a
Mm-hmm.
great athlete, they're optimizing chaos.
Mm-hmm.
So, right, there's not a minimal amount of it. They're just making the highest return on investment for the energy that's there. So, for your business, it's for the time you invest into it, it's for the money that you invest into it. You want
Mm-hmm.
a higher rate of return, the highest rate of return possible. That's what you're looking to get there. And to tie in with the becoming wealthy, the clients that I've seen that work on that mission of becoming wealthy, they can create generational wealth, and they can also help nonprofits. If they have a nonprofit or a special cause that they really have an interest in, that's
Mm-hmm.
something that really can be incredibly fulfilling above and beyond making money. But you need money to be able to, assist that, special cause that you have in mind. So
Yeah, yeah, there's a word that people like to use a lot, is one of the buzzwords of the day, which is impact. Impact driven businesses and having impact and things of that nature. And people, I think, a lot of times want to use impact as a way of mitigating talking about the wealth and the money, right? So to make it sound like they're not so focused on the money. But if you really want to have impact, you've got to understand that impact in the world is about optimizing chaos in someone else's life, in some other environment. And money is a vehicle to be able to do that. The more wealth you have, the more impact you can create. That's just a fundamental belief of mine. And if you shy away from making money, if you're shying away from being wealthy, then what you're really shying away from is optimizing chaos. What you're really saying is that I want things to be in this nice, neat little package, and I don't want to have to wade into the storm. But firefighters can't be afraid of making impact. It means they have to be willing to dive headfirst into the burning building to be able to save people, to be able to save the structure, also to be able to contain the fire so it doesn't spread and cause more destruction. So if you want to have impact, you've got to be thinking like a firefighter. I can't be afraid of diving into this burning inferno. I've got to be able to figure out, how can I optimize it? How can I bring it under control? And how can I be able to spread that impact through my business in other ways?
That's great you mentioned firefighting, because that's what a lot of times it feels like as a business owner. You feel like
Mm,
you're putting out, right? You're putting out fires, left and right. You don't even get the fires out completely, and something else jumps up. So that's why we're going over the framework of how to optimize business chaos. So
Mm-hmm.
another item here to optimize business chaos, and this is very important ingredient here, is you want to do a framework. This is a framework within a framework. So there are 3 items here. One of them is you want to isolate, prioritize, and execute. So
Mm-hmm.
let's use an example. So let's say you are a business owner and you have a key employee that did not show up today as planned. So you've got a busy day. Let's say you have a restaurant, you have a automotive repair shop, you're a dental practice. It could be any type of business. And let's say you're a dental practice. I'll use that one. Everybody can relate. Everybody's been to the dentist, get your teeth cleaned, hopefully no cavities. So, and if you're the dentist and one day one of your key employees does not show up, you have to isolate that and not let that roll over into any of your patients that you're dealing with that day, or even right, and even the other employees. If the other employees have to pick up some workload that employee that's not there, you have to be appreciative of those other employees jumping in and taking part of that workload, and not let it roll over into how you deal with the other employees. Maybe you have vendors coming in, vendors for equipment, same thing. That's the key. And then back to the tying that in. So that's how you prioritize once you've isolated, and don't let that affect other elements of your business. And the final part of that is the execution, taking the action on it. You don't want to be the deer in headlights and like, oh, this employee is not here today, and take your eye off what has to be action steps for that day without that employee there. So that's something I've seen be an absolute game changer. Isolate, prioritize, and it can be any of those chaotic things that happen in your business, so that you take action steps on the other elements of your business. So let's see, which one do we want to go next? I think this may be a 2-part podcast. We have so many items here. Let's go on mental variance. Let's cover mental variance next. So mental variance, I rate it on a scale of 1 to 10. And 10 being the highest, 1 being the lowest. And when you're an 8 through a 10, you can think with clarity, your thoughts have accuracy to it, and you're able to execute at the highest level possible. If you're below an 8, then you start to get a little foggy. Have you ever had days when you just maybe you couldn't remember what day of the week it was or something like that?
Oh yeah.
Maybe you don't remember somebody, you see a customer and I should remember, that's how you doing? Somebody's spending money with you, right?
Right.
So that's when you're just a little below 8. Let's say if you were in the military or a first responder and you were shot in the arm. The minute you're shot in the arm, you're probably at a 2. You won't remember your name, right?
Right.
So that's not a good place to be. So what the key is focusing on, there are certain situations that will take you below an 8. For example, and everybody's different. Mine used to be when someone was late. They could be a minute late, a second late. I was below an 8 real quickly and everything, right? Again, everybody's different. Some people don't, no big deal, but I've caught myself over the years, and now someone could not show up at all. And I'm like, okay, what's next can I do? I use the isolate framework. I'm isolating it. I'm not letting it affect me. So,
right.
And then again, people are human. I mean, in an ideal perfect world, you'd never be late, but it happens. So that's an example. This could be, again, an employee, a customer, something happens with a, supplier, whatever it may be in your business that's chaotic. and it throws your mental state down. You have to catch it and control it. This is, so it's not about being perfect. It may still throw you below an 8, but you have to, in your mind, be aware when those things are going to happen. Like, is that employee going to be late? Is a vendor not going to show up and deliver, like Fredrick said, supply chains off or whatever it may be. So don't let that pull you below 8 very long, and eventually catch it quicker so you stay always above 8, and then you can operate at a very effective mental variance state at that point in time. What are your thoughts on the mental variance? I think that's a good one for a lot of people to focus on.
I think it may be the number one thing, right? People talk about mindset a lot when it comes to business, but they treat it very vaguely. I like the mental variance framework because it gives you a scale to be able to measure where you're at, and also to measure the outcomes that you're affecting because of your mental state of mind, and understanding that you as a business owner are the driver of the business. It's like a vehicle. And so the best drivers are the ones who can handle the widest range of chaotic conditions, right? If you need everything to be perfect for you to be able to drive your vehicle as fast as you can, and you can never deal with obstacles, traffic, red lights, weather conditions, things of that nature, then you're going to be limited to only being able to drive on sunny days. But business is not about being able to just drive on a sunny day. You've got to be able to handle all kinds of conditions, because these conditions are what are going to occur. It's just part of life. It's a part of being in a chaotic world. And this is why those who can manage or optimize that chaos get rewarded. So this is also a part of taking care of climate. Number one is closely related, right? It's closely related to the 40 to 70,000 thoughts in your mind every day. You got to be able to navigate the internal chaos as well as the external chaos that's going to assault your business at any given time. And I think it just can't be understated. Some people need everything. How many times have we heard before? I'll give you a call when things settle down, right? Or I'll take care of that when things are a little bit more quiet around here.
Too busy.
Right. You're too busy, right? And then you'll hear people say, well, how you been? Well, busy. Well, busy's good. Well, it might be, but what's better is, are you good when things are busy, right? Are you good when things are not so quiet? Are you good? Are you great when things require you to be? We think of the best players, the best athletes as the ones who, when the stakes are the highest, when the pressure is the strongest, when the odds are against them, they come through in the clutch. That's where greatness is revealed. And so you want to practice being a great business athlete. You want to practice being a great driver and learning how to manage the chaos. And that all starts with the mental variance component. Not having the expectations that things are going to be perfect, and not falling apart when they're not, because invariably they won't be, right? What do you think about that, Richard?
Yeah, I like the analogy you used about driving in different types of weather, because that's what separates the phenomenal business owners from the average ones, is when the weather gets treacherous, that's when people pause or stumble. So I think that's a great way to look at it too, to tying those two analogies together by far. And just being ready. It's going to rain. It's going to be ice out there. It's going to be floods, or Mother Nature is going to happen in business just like it does in the real world and everything. So that's very very true. But yeah, I think that's something to really focus on. Like you said, there's a lot said about mindset. Yep, this tool ties some numbers to it and gives you some specific items to really focus on. And
when a lot of people talk about mindset, I think that they're talking about the basic belief, right? Or just you're set up, you're committed to doing what it takes to get done in your business, but they're not actually practically looking at the mental variance is great because it talks about the fact that there's a meter, right? As you go throughout your day, there's going to be fluctuations. There's going to be interruptions in your train of thought. Your belief is going to be tested time and time again. And so if you have to always 100% be focused on believing and manifesting and all these other things, all these other buzzwords that come out, in the mouths of the gurus and things of that nature. If you always have to be doing that and you don't have the capacity to manage, to lead yourself, right? Which is really what mental variance is. You got to be able to lead yourself through these situations. And this is what's required. People don't often talk about leadership when it comes to mindset, but you got to be able to, again, lead your number one client. I like the word that you use about client, because instead of customer number one, because the definition of a client is a person who is under your attention and care. And so you got to be able to take care of yourself so that you can take care of those who work with you and take care of the ones that you're working for in terms of your clients, in terms of the people that you're serving. Anyway, I didn't want to interrupt, but that was something that kind of came up when I was thinking about that when it comes to mindset and how people perceive that.
Yeah, no, that's very valuable insight there to keep that in there. And I think that's a topic worth discussing in great detail, because a lot of people, it's like, it could be like the temperature in the room. It changes, and if you're not aware of it, it could change quite a bit. And you're like, oh, it's hot. Oh, it's cold or something. So just to be aware of that, like you said, even throughout the day, maybe the morning is better or the afternoon, or in knowing what those items are. Like I'll give you an example. I used to take client calls. I'd have them at all hours of the day and night, early morning. I might say early. I'd meet people at 5 a.m. all the way till 8 or 9 at night. And then I started to realize anything past, and again, I'm an early riser. I wake up at 4 a.m. in the morning. Don't try this at home. No, it's actually good to get up early. But and I would be having meetings at 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock at night. That's nowhere near optimal for me. And so I had to retrain some clients. Like, I'm doing no meetings. I'm starting no meetings after 5 o'clock p.m. If you want to meet me at 5 a.m., 6 a.m., 7, I'm all for it. And to my surprise, there were clients that like, sure, yeah, that works. I can meet you before my employees come in, before the shop opens up. So again, knowing, and that's one reason we own a business, is to control our destiny, and when we can, control the hours, the times that we work. So it could be something there is like, look at what's something you're doing in your business that is like a bottleneck or resistance, and explore if there's frameworks that you can put into place so you don't have to do that. It's not always possible, but 80-90% of the time it really is. So reach out to us. We're here. If you have any specific questions, you can and I want to throw this in because I know some people are asking, how do I get a hold of you? So we have to say it throughout the podcast. Go to gatewaybusiness.com or bosspodcast.com. You can text us, you can shoot us an email with what are some situation in your business that you've had for a long time, just not sure how to solve it exactly. You've tried different items, you've talked to different people, yet you need the exact steps to have it happen. Reach out to us. We can walk you through those steps. So if there's something in your business that you don't like doing, we can explore frameworks, if it's possible, or how do we make it possible so you don't have to do those items anymore.
Absolutely. That was my 5-year-old CEO coming in.
Everybody needs the transparency of a 5-year-old, because there's no filter there. So that's what we need. No filter.
No, not at all. Well, that's about our time for today. I think you've given a ton of powerful insight for our business owners. And when we're talking about chaos and things of that nature, there's always going to be things that come to interrupt. But we are here to help and support you in being a better business owner, to be an elite driver of your business vehicle, to get optimal outcomes, to build generational wealth, and to create really the lifestyle of your dreams, right? We're all starting a business for a reason. Sometimes we forget why we started it once we got to a certain level, and we want to be able to restore not just that faith, but to reinvigorate your vision and allow you to create a bigger mission and accomplish more than you ever thought was possible in your business. Any closing thoughts, Richard?
Absolutely. So we will do a part 2. We're going to continue with the other elements of optimizing the business chaos on our next podcast. And we're here for you. Any challenges? If your business is keeping you up at nighttime, if you've hit a plateau, if you haven't had a vacation in years, it's really time to reach out to us. So just again, reach out to us, bosspodcast.com. See, nobody's perfect, even though it's rumor I'm perfect. Bosspodcast.com or gatewaybusiness.com, and we would enjoy to help you reach your greatest business aspirations.
Absolutely. So thanks for those of you joining us, watching live. If you watch this for a second or a minute, if you're watching this on replay, drop a hashtag replay. Let us know what your thoughts, your questions might be about any aspect of optimizing chaos in your business in particular. And as always, for my host, Richard Pierce, I am Fredrick Douglass Bussey. Ever forward.